Cathaoirleach, I want to begin by commending Deputy Brian Stanley for bringing forward this very important bill, and indeed for all the work that went into this bill. It is imperative that we get action and that there is real and true balance for communities, because currently there's no protections for many communities throughout my own county of Offaly and neighbouring county of County Laois. It's very unfair. Communities have no say whatsoever, and these monstrosities of structures are imposed on them. And I know I will be making reference in my speech later as well that there's serious health concerns and effects from the infrasound, and all of that needs to be investigated thoroughly, and there needs to be fair play. In terms of consultation and engagement with communities, it cannot be a tokenistic tick-the-box exercise. That's what I have seen happening. We're not fools, we can see what's happening. And I know from my engagement, extensive engagement with communities right from North Offaly down to South Offaly, that that's what's happening. It's a tick-the-box exercise, and there's bribes thrown out to people in the community to try and divide. That's what's happening. And meanwhile, as I say, these monstrosities are imposed on communities. And it is, as I say, look, it's my firm belief that issues such as this issue is something that needs and commands cross-party support, everybody working together regardless of political allegiances. You know, this is an issue affecting all of our communities, the length and breadth of the country. For the last number of years, I have been engaging first-hand and directly with so many communities throughout my constituency of Offaly, and I'm very frustrated and disillusioned by the lack of action. I know I, like many others, like Brian Stanley here, have called for the publication of those guidelines. I was elected in 2016, and I started calling for them to be published at that time. We only have draft guidelines, there's loopholes, and there's companies running amok. They're absolutely taking advantage of communities. Now, are we here to serve those corporate entities who profiteer, or are we here to serve our communities? Because I know I'm elected and I want to serve my community, as do many others here. But it's about time we started listening, and it's about time we started acting, and not give the usual waffle and that we're in agreement. Or they don't want sympathy, they want action, and they want proper protections. And I certainly will continue to call for those protections. And again, it's rural communities being treated so unfairly by government that aren't listening, just not listening and taking action. I mean, how long is it going to take? How long more? We all know that you can bring in legislation when you so please. We all know that, because we were locked down more than we should have been in County Offaly. We were subjected to a third lockdown during COVID-19, so that you were able to do that. So why can't you bring in legislation here to protect communities? It could be done quickly if the political will was there, and I certainly will continue to call for it. I know communities like Monaghan, where there's a bog, heritage bog, with monastic links to Clonmacnoise, and we have Bord na Móna coming in and trying to impose a wind farm on that community. I know there's a community in Stonestown in Cloghan who are suffering terribly from health effects of turbines that are very close to their homes. And I'm calling for action. I know that there's a wind farm in North Offaly, and I've had farmers tell me that it's affecting the livestock, that the livestock had to be moved from one field into another field well away from the wind turbines. So, I mean, it's affecting everybody. It's not just in one particular area. And all of those communities can't be wrong. They're not wrong. And we need solid actions. As I say, communities are right to feel disillusioned, frustrated and angered, and indeed ignored, because there are no protections and their rights are being trampled on. Communities like Monaghan that I mentioned earlier strongly object to the wanton destruction of its bog, not just from a heritage point of view, but also from the fact that habitats, flora and fauna will also be considerably destroyed. The fact that the 2006 wind energy guidelines remain in force pending finalisation of the review, which has been ongoing since 2016, is nothing short of being farcical and indeed borderline contemptuous of communities who have clearly expressed the gross inadequacies of the current regulatory regime. And this is why I recently called again for all wind energy and wind wind turbine developments to be halted until the guidelines are produced. I mean, why are we just letting, as I say, these companies trample over communities? I have raised this matter repeatedly through parliamentary questions and most recently to the Minister for the Environment, Darragh O'Brien, when I asked him if he would provide information regarding reports on wind turbine noise. I also asked him to clarify his support for increased protections for persons adversely affected by the noise. And again, I want to mention that the community of Stonestown in Clough in County Offaly, they informed me that 250 complaint records were submitted in regard to 2 Statkraft wind farms, and they've been lodged with the County Council, and there doesn't seem to be anything happening. Again, their concerns are being ignored. And, as I say, look, there has to be action. And I also agree with the residents who say that it is high time that the Department of Health got involved, and I have submitted parliamentary questions to that effect. And I just want to end, to give others time, by quoting the following email which I received from a resident summing up the nightmare that they're going through with these wind turbines being close to their homes. And the constituent writes, and I quote, "Another 2 nights from hell here. The last two nights were also hell. Awake all night again, child crying here with frustration, as am I. The embarrassment of having to put this down on another email again, and the fact that the solution ye see fit is a simple reply email and no action just fills me with anxiety about another winter of this. The house is vibrating here again. I've damage all over the house from the vibrations as well, and all my family have been sick over the period of time. This is something we didn't ask for, something we didn't want in our lives, and we want for nothing more other than to be respected." And they go on, and I quote, they say, "It's just so unfair to expect us to continue to live through this nuisance every day and every night. It's depressing as depressing can get, and still no help. I've to try and work another day tomorrow on empty, and I'm expected to provide for my family with no energy and the eyes falling out of my head. It's just not good enough for us to have this forced upon us here. Trapped under the control of this crap and not being in any control is like living with an abuser daily, wondering if tonight is another night again that I will lie awake. We're being traumatised every minute, every day, and no one seems to care. Or do you have a duty of care to us communities at all?" Minister, that should give you a flavour of just exactly what people are dealing with and the way it's affecting their mental health, their well-being and their lives in general. This is not a policy issue that can be simply ignored, and it is having real-world consequences of the most awful kind, and I'm very concerned about it. Carol Nolan.